listening to No Limits, episode 112. There is absolutely no news that happened between the dates of September 22nd, 2024 and September 29th, 2024 in the world of PlayStation. Hello, everyone. My name is Taylor, and I'm joined by my co-host, Sam. You're listening to No Limits, a PlayStation podcast, episode 112. Remember, you can find the video version of this podcast over on youtube.com/SaveTheGameMedia. And while you're over there, make sure to subscribe to the channel. If you'd rather listen to audio, we're on all your favorite podcast services, and we would love it if you could leave us a review. It helps us grow, and we would love any feedback. Also, if you want to support us and get early access to all Save the Game Media content, head over to patreon.com/SaveTheGameMedia and choose the tier that's right for you, just like our current patrons did. Fabulous Brianna, Brianna's mom, Brianna's brother, Lindsay, Nikolai Knight, Cypher Primus, Brendan Myers, Marcus O'Neill, Lillian, Mimi J, David Hotwright, Dave Harp, the Xbox Expansion Pass, Alpaca Tom, Lee Navarro, Sil Canet, Ellery Woods Parker III, Shelby Massey, Chad, and Rick Davis. Also interact with us in the Discord. Links are all in the show notes. And also, we should have started doing this earlier this year. Extra Life is in just over a month away. Myself, Kevin, I think Kyle, and Bree will be in Rome, New York. That's right. Rome, New York. Not the fake New Rome, New York that's in Megalopolis or Rome, Italy, but upstate New York, Rome, New York. And we're going to be raising money for sick kids with the Extra Life Foundation. Are they foundation? The Extra Life, I'll say organization, right?
Sure.
Under Lee Navarro's Phoenix Overdrive Extra Life team. We'll be there with Carpool Gaming, other friends of the show. It's going to be great. We're going to be playing games, 24 hours straight. That's the deal. And it's going to be a blast. I know I was able to do it last year for the first time, my first 24-hour stay up. It was actually pretty easy, Sam. I just needed a nitro cold brew at 3 a.m. That's all I needed.
I mean, I'm a nocturnal guy anyway, so I function very well on little sleep. So I feel you there. It can be tough if you're not in the space, but do what you got to do. If you need those energy drinks, chug them. Do it. Do it again.
Do it again.
Do it again.
Yeah. How are you doing, Sam?
I'm all right.
Good, because last week you said I'm like the worst I've been in a while, and everyth's falling down. So I'm glad there's an improvement.
The sky has collapsed and everything. It's not even
Hell
falling;
yeah.
it's just fully collapsed. I'm still not on top form. I must admit, but I am sort of closer to the end of the light at the end of the tunnel than I was previously. So that's a positive. Not too busy, which I think has helped. Nothing much to report really on my side of things. It's just sort of very, very chill, as zen as possible to help alleviate. So how are you?
Doing all right. I told myself I was going to do responsible things this weekend, Sam. Didn't end up being the case, did it?
Never is.
Nope.
That's okay.
Is it? It's not okay.
Yeah. Fine by me.
All right. Fine, Sam.
Yeah.
Well, this weekend, I was supposed to go to a retro gaming expo that I canceled because I thought I needed to save money that I'm not so sure I needed to in retrospect. Anyway, and but my coworker, and I guess friend, honestly, at this point, recently moved down there and was going to go to the convention after I mentioned it to him when I was expecting I was going to be going, and he brought it up on Friday. So he went down there and he said, "Is there anything I should look out for?" on Friday. He asked me, and the convention was yesterday, Saturday. And I said, well, would be cool to get if the infamous duology and the Killzone trilogy and the Resistance trilogy were there. And what do you know? He found all of them. Even the little trilogy, golden type packaging PlayStation did in North America for those. I don't know if they did that in the EU, did they? Or I should say UK now.
I've never seen one.
But you've seen
sort of
packaging
on the internet.
Text has this whitish background. It has golden emblem. It says collection on it.
Yeah. I'm sure that I can't see any reason why they wouldn't have done it here. But if they were done here, they were far less common than.
Gotcha.
So
what do you know? He snatched all those up for me, and now I need to. No, I took out the old dusty PS3 yesterday, booted it up, formatted it because I'm like, I don't know what I did with this with custom firmware before, so I just restored it to factory settings, rebooted it. My DualShock, like I said in the pre-show, Sam, is all a little screwed up. I was only able to navigate the XMB using my DualSense. And I'm going to go out today and get a replacement controller.
Nice.
In the interim, I guess I could use the DualSense. You could also use a DualShock 4, but again, you don't have you definitely don't have rumble, and you might not have the motion support either that a 6-axis DualShock 3 would have it natively with the PS3.
Yeah.
Although there are, adapters that I think I can buy that let me use forward, other controllers, like even an Xbox controller or DualSense, etc. But I figured, I'll go with the OG DualShock 3 for now. So the catch to all this, Sam, is that my coworker who got all this for me, now he doesn't work in my work location anymore. He'll be coming up because he recently moved. So he's coming up to pick up some of his stuff. And he said, he asked, and I didn't oppose it. He said, is it okay if I just bring all these, rather than shipping it, is it okay if I bring all these up when I go get my work stuff and exchange them? And I said, sure, being the courteous individual I am. But Sam, that means there's probably a 2 to 4, maybe between a 2-week to 8-week gap of when I'll actually get these games in my hands to put them in my PS3. Unless I badger my coworker and say, ship them.
Yeah.
So what I've left to do, like I said in the pre-show, I want to make sure my disk drive still works. Should I have tried to make sure it still works before I asked them to look out for all these games? Perhaps. But I'm pretty confident it works. So I'm going to try to find, like I said in the pre-show, $1 to $5 game that I can throw in and just test to make sure everything's working correctly.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go with Assassin's Creed 1. That seems like it's going for single digits online right now. See if my store has that.
Yeah.
And then soon enough, get down to PS3ing with games I actually haven't played before, really. I played some of Infamous 2. I didn't play all of it, anywhere close to all of it. Did not play the first game. Did not play the Resistance games as much as they looked cool when I watched YouTube Let's Plays for Resistance 3. And I didn't play the Killzone games either. So, I'm a fraud.
Okay, a hypothetical question, just for fun.
Yeah.
Actually, technically 2 questions. Which do you think you'll do first?
I think.
Which one is tickling your fancy most?
Sam, it's a little early for this. Let's see. Yeah, I know. I thought about that too. I think I want to start with Resistance because I don't think I've really played any FPS like it before. Infamous I've played. I'm going to make a broad generalization here of just my recent gaming history. I've played Spider-Man
Sure.
last year. So like I've gotten the recent and dose of excellent Sony superhero experience.
Mm-hmm.
With Killzone, I've played Wolfenstein: The New Order.
Sure.
I think I know, at least in a very tangential sense, I've gotten that general dose of game before. It's the rebel going against a modern or a futuristic fascist takeover, right?
Not quite.
Dang it, Sam.
I mean, you're essentially right, but it's not a rebel force. It's like a different planetary military force.
Oh, okay.
So it's like two warring planets. So
two warring planets. Maybe the moral lines are blurred. Where in Wolfenstein, it's pretty black and white, right? You're fighting against the Nazis because Nazis categorically suck.
Yeah, I mean, there is no denying that the Helghast are essentially space Nazis, but as without spoiling anything, obviously, as the series goes on, and particularly into Shadowfall, they do try to. It's still pretty cut and dry, but blur the lines that good people do bad things, bad people do good things, that kind of sentimentality. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah, no, I'll be interested to see how you feel. I will say, as someone who obviously like diehard stands for Resistance, try to be a little bit forgiving, because Resistance 1, having replayed it myself only a month and a half ago,
2005 muddy, here we come.
It's not just that, but like the controls as well. It's pretty whack control scheme for Resistance 1.
Is it back to the PS3 days where L1 and R1 are your your aim and fire buttons? It's not L2, R2?
It's not even that, I'm afraid.
Sam.
Because Resistance Fall of Man being a launch title, they were still figuring out control schemes. So
is it a face
I can't remember the entire control scheme off the top of my head. But I know, like, aim down sights is you have to click in R3.
You have to. I've seen that before.
Sure, but it's very uncommon, and it does, with how jank the game is at times, it does feel a little bit rough.
Sam, these controls are pretty normal.
I don't know.
Well, no, there is some weird stuff. L2 is crouch, circle is grenade. That should be kind of reversed, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Quick weapon charge is R2. Weapon select wheel is R2.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So I was preparing for... Wait, L1 is secondary. Yeah, it's going to take me a while to get used to L1 being secondary fire.
You try to crouch and you throw a grenade right in front of yourself, and then you try to aim down sights and you fire a underbarrel grenade or...
Yeah. In vehicles, X is accelerate. What the heck, Sam?
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure...
reverse. It's categorically L2. Come on.
I'm also pretty certain that it's...
Oh, wait, L2 is also reverse. Okay, sorry.
The Halo scheme where you drive the vehicle in the direction that you're looking.
Oh, God, right. I hate that.
Yeah. So it is rough, but I think all of that aside, I do still think that like the novelty of the idea and how it's portrayed shines through enough for me. And that could be nostalgia speaking, but it will be interesting getting your perspective, having never played the games before until now, seeing what you think. Fresh eyes and all that. Resistance 3, I will say, is still probably my favorite first-person shooter ever. So you got some good stuff coming. All three of those franchises, I think, are woefully underrated, despite how important and sort of cornerstone they were in the PS3 era. So,
yeah. So the reason I picked picking Resistance is because I don't think I've played an FPS game that centers on Fallout from an alien invasion. Obviously,
Hmm.
Fallout is from mass nuclear disaster.
Yeah.
I guess Gears of War is technically right an alien invasion.
The closest, but obviously third person
Closest.
and far more like frenetic, fast paced than Resistance is.
Yeah. So I don't know. Resistance is the most foreign for my gaming background. So that's why I want to try it first.
Hell yeah.
And it seems like there's a cool story it's trying to tell.
Yeah. I mean, like Resistance 1 is relatively bare bones, but I still think, again, like conceptually, it's portrayed in a very unique and interesting and compelling way. I will say that the narratives do improve drastically from 1 to 2, and then even more so 2 to 3. So stick through the rough beginning, and I think you'll see what I see in that IP, hopefully. If you don't, that's fine, but you will. I'll make you.
All right. Thanks. So, yeah, whenever those get here, they'll get here. In the meantime, I guess I'll try, like I said, trialing my PS3 on disk drive on Assassin's Creed 1 or something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So that's cool. When those get here, I think I'll start playing them.
Hell yeah.
But in the meantime, what have I played this past week? I still haven't gotten Astrobot.
That's okay.
I have an idea, kind of like how maybe this will come back to bite me. I should say God of War Collection is another one on my list, which I didn't ask my friend to be on the lookout for the other day. But the collected God of War Saga comes with God of War 1 and 2 HD Remastered, God of War 3, Chains of Olympus, and Ghost of Sparta, right? The PSP games. Mm-hmm. I wonder if I would get more out of Astrobot if I waited to play it until I've gone through the infamous Resistance and Killzone franchises. The answer is probably no, and there's like Astrobots that are very, very obviously and generally from those franchises. Maybe there isn't a deeper Easter egg there, but I feel like it would be cool to, as a full circle, investigating the franchises I never played and then coming back around to see them in Astrobot.
Sure.
I don't know.
Obviously, I wouldn't spoil anything. I wouldn't dream of it. I would say I wouldn't worry too much about that. That's not to say that they are or aren't in the game or aren't in any major capacity or not. But I would say for those sort of things specifically, I don't think that would infringe too much on your enjoyment or appreciation of Astro. If you're like diehard and fully committed to the idea of knowing most things, then that's cool. But with a few exceptions, which I won't detail, they are for those kind of PS3 franchises a bit more generalized in terms of reference. So, up to you. I wouldn't try to push you either
All right.
way, either direction.
Fine, Sam. Fine.
It's okay. Don't worry.
But also, I missed Resident Evil 2 was on sale until the 25th on PSN.
Mm-hmm.
I missed that deal. However, the Raccoon City edition that includes Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 for $15 is now on sale. So Sam, what I'm saying is maybe I'll get Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3 bundle as I bide my time until I get my PS3 games. Or Sam, will I just spend money on Astrobot? Or Sam, will I go back to Control and finish the Foundation DLC and then go to Alan Wake 2? Or Sam, will I go play Dead Space 1? Not the remake, but Dead Space 1 on my PC all the way through. I don't know, Sam. I'm turning into Brie.
It's a whole lot of choices.
This is the thing. Like I said, I finished my games. I just have a hard time choosing one.
Yeah, you just got to commit, Taylor. You just got to bite the bullet and be like, "This is what I'm doing." I know the feeling though. You've got so much. You're at a buffet and you just don't know which plate to take. All of them look delicious.
Yep.
And you feel like maybe you should get to that one first because it's piping hot. But it's like no, you dive in wherever you want. Don't panic.
Yeah,
just make a choice.
Make a choice.
Damn you. I'll support you either way, Taylor. Don't worry.
I feel like I want to play something spooky while I wait.
That sounds like a Control Alan Wake 2 type situation.
Or Resident Evil.
That too.
Yeah, but I think I'm gonna go back to the Foundation.
I would say like Resident Evil 2 remake goes on sale quite often.
Oh yeah, it's like all like the old Capcom games go on sale like literally at least once a month.
Yeah, and I would say like Resident Evil 2 remake is demonstrably better than Resident Evil 3. So, and also if you're not like right now 100% certain that you would even like really like those games or like gel with them or be able to finish them or whatever,
I think it
might be better. I don't doubt that for a second, but because it's a bit more of an unknown quantity for you maybe as opposed to the other choices, then I would maybe hold off, wait, get Resident Evil 2 by itself, which you can probably get for even cheaper than that, obviously.
Well, RE2 by itself is $10. $15 for RE2 and RE3 combined.
You're cool. Like Resident Evil 3 remake for, I guess, technically what you're saying, $5 isn't bad. Like I would say it's worth that. But yeah, you're cool again. Just airing options and opinions, giving you context. But maybe Control is the way. Wrap that up, and then you got that out of the way forever. It's done. You've played it.
I think so. Yep. I think I'll return to Control. That's my deal.
Cool.
Return to Control. Finish that, and then I have a decision. Assuming my PS3 games still aren't here yet. Astrobot or Alan Wake 2. It's spooky season. Sorry, Astro. I think I would go Alan Wake next. Yeah.
I'd say that's fine.
I heard Alan Wake 2. Sorry, go ahead.
Then you can wait because the upcoming free DLC for Astro will have arrived by the time you get to it, and anything else that might be coming for the game. So you're just stockpiling even more joy and nostalgia for when you finally do get to Astro.
If I delayed until, yep. So, yeah, but have I actually played anything? Oh yeah, I played Ace Attorney over the past week.
Nice,
actually. It's very Ace Attorney is it's a very funny game, and it's heavy-handed, and it's great. You haven't played any of the Phoenix Wright games, Sam?
Very, very briefly and quite a long time ago. I can't even remember which Ace Attorney I played. It might have been the first one. I again, as a guy who likes detective games and puzzle games and stuff, they always appeal to me from the periphery. But I just, again, not really being. I don't know. I don't really know what's put me off of not going into it. It's just one of those things where it's like, if I had all the time in the world, I'd definitely get to them, but just other things always take priority over it. So I also feel like I kind of missed the boat because I feel like I want to start from the start, and by doing that, there's just way too much backlog stuff there. So
gotcha. Yeah.
One day. Maybe.
Fair enough. Yeah. So in Ace Attorney, you play Phoenix Wright, and it's basically a visual. Sorry, I was distracted for a second because I promise I won't do this anymore for the rest of the podcast. So Sam, this person I'm negotiating with on Facebook Marketplace for 2 DualShock 3s.
Mhm.
It's the DualShock 3, right? That the first controller for the PS3 was a 6-axis, right?
Yes.
Then the DualShock 3 came out.
Yes.
Then the DualShock 3 was the controller for the rest of the life of the console.
Yes.
Yeah. So if someone says DualShock 3, I shouldn't need to ask, is it a 6-axis only controller? DualShock 3 is DualShock 3.
Yes.
It succeeds in 6-axis. Yeah. All right. Good.
That
Anyway,
is my understanding. Yes.
so I don't know if you know, in Phoenix Wright, it's basically a visual novel that you're participating in. There is, one ending, the events will go one way, and you just have to make sure you guess your clues correctly in the case to advance the story. And right, you go around talking to it was originally a Nintendo DS game, and I was playing it with a Switch port on my TV. So what used to be, somewhat pixely art seems more hand-drawn, but still very in that style. And you go around interviewing people leading up to the trial, investigating your crime scenes, gathering evidence, literally like it's in your inventory as piece of evidence. This thing with a piece of information, almost like you're looking at your Pokemon inventory. And during the trial, it's up to you to cross-examine witnesses, call their bluffs, and the big part is try to catch contradictions, and then you do the famous objection audio with the big white and red text across the screen, and you go ahead and try to dismantle the prosecution. And right, it's a game. There's a lot of funny stuff that would never happen in a courtroom. The characters' names are ridiculous. Like, there's a guy named Red White who's the CEO of Blue Corporation. There is a witness named April May.
Mm-hmm.
There's a detective named Gumshoe. It's fun, and yeah. So that was a fun little excursion. But the series spans a lot of different games. I think. So I was playing I finished episode 2 of the first game of the trilogy. So there's the first 3 games, the Phoenix Wright trilogy, and I think there's Apollo Justice Investigations, which is 3 more games. So now you're at 6. Then there's the Great Ace Attorney games, which I think might be spin-offs. So anyway, now you're at least 9 games in the series.
It's a lot.
I don't know if I'll ever get through them all, but I can tell you right now, if Bree hadn't already, I think she would love Ace Attorney. Yeah.
I could see that, yeah.
Definitely. So yeah. What about you, Sam? What have you been playing? We're only 28 minutes into the show, Sam.
This is how it goes. It's cool.
Yeah.
I'm in no rush. I've played a number of things. I've darted around a lot this week. I finished The Plucky Squire and managed to platinum it inadvertently at the same time. Wasn't really trying to. I still don't really like the game. I think it's a massive disappointment. Very frustrating.
Wow.
The way it's designed and paced and everything. But I didn't buy it and got it through PS Plus, so I can't complain too much, I guess. I finished and platinumed Secret Agent Clank. I think I talked about playing that. The PSP port that was one of the premium titles this month. Love that, as I did back on the PSP.
So it was a emulated native port to PS5.
Yes.
I should say native emulated port to PS5, offline, no streaming.
Yes.
I don't know. Would the word be native? I guess it's a native.
I guess so. Yeah.
Hold on, Sam. Would it be called native or would it port? I'll call it the port. It was ported to PS5 effectively.
You're playing it natively on PS5.
Yeah.
So I guess it is interchangeable, I suppose. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Not a great Ratchet and Clank game. But I still have a lot of nostalgia for it.
Yeah, that's great.
So love that. I dipped my toes for probably 3, maybe 4 hours into Cult of the Lamb.
Wow.
Um,
It was on PS Plus, right? No?
was
Okay.
Dip my toes in there. Really like it actually. It's got a bit of that Binding of Isaac energy to it, where you're repeatedly going out into sort of procedurally generated regions and clearing rooms of enemies and collecting power-ups. And, not quite as dynamic as I'd like. There's not, at least as far as I've gotten, ways that like different powers and abilities combine to make unique effects and abilities and stuff. That could come later, I'm not sure. But there's also like a little sort of Animal Crossing-y type thing where you have to care for your cult and you have to indoctrinate new followers.
And it's really dark humor where it's like you can decide to sacrifice this person and have the rest of your cult members eat their remains or something like that.
That you certainly can perform a lot of sort of dark rituals. I like it. I'm not sure how much more I'll play of it. I don't feel overly committed to it necessarily, but I'm enjoying what I've played so far. I have played and platinumed Pistol Whip, which is a VR game.
Pistol Whip. This sounds fun. Let me Google this.
Pistol Whip got given away for free this month, I think. I think it was this month's PS Premium PSVR 2 title. Or if it wasn't, it was last week's.
This looks great, Sam. This is like 80s synth, cyberpunk, super hot.
It's super hot meets Beat Saber, essentially.
That sounds like a combination made in heaven, Sam.
It is, and it is. I truly love it. I think I still like Beat Saber more, just because of how perfectly simplistic it is. But Pistol Whip is a very good time. You know, shooting enemies to the beat as they appear, and you have to like dodge bullets and stuff. And there's lots of different themed stages. There's a couple of actual like full-on narrative experiences that you can play through. One is like a Western, one is a sort of cyberpunk sci-fi thing. There's some excellent licensed music in there as well. If you know the song, it's Ain't No Place for No Hero, I think is the name of the song, which is by The Heavy, I want to say. Relatively famous. Oh, no, it's not Ain't No Place for No Hero. The song is called Short Change Hero by The Heavy. And you're doing that as you're wandering through a Western town with akimbo revolvers. It's just very, very badass. It's like playing Red Dead Redemption with Deadeye in VR, which is pretty sick.
Oh my god, Sam! I don't think there's a better advertisement that's not Half-Life Alyx for VR than what you've described here. For me,
I will admit, relatively bare bones game overall. Like Beat Saber, in the sense that you have a very relatively limited track selection of things you can play through, but you can obviously do it at different difficulty levels, and that will increase the number of enemies or the number of hits they can take. It's a lot of fun. If anybody has a PSVR 2, I do highly encourage you to give Pistol Whip a go. What else? I, again, very, very briefly dipped my toe into The Last of Us Part 1 because I haven't actually played that yet. I didn't pick it up when it came out.
You
but they
bought
gave
it?
that away. No, they gave that away with PlayStation Plus this month.
Wait, The Last of Us Part 1 remake?
Yeah. It was a late edition to celebrate The Last of Us Day on the 26th.
Is it to the extra catalog?
Yeah. It's not premium locked. I think it's
wow.
Whatever tiers have access to the PlayStation Plus catalog. Yeah. So I think that's extra and premium. So I played like the first hour and a half of that. It's The Last of Us, still as great as always. And the only other thing I played through, which I've played a lot of this week, is the Dead Space remake.
It's funny, I was thinking about Dead Space this week, Sam.
It is, and also funny. Also funny that Dead Space Remake was announced as one of the monthly games for next month.
For October.
Yeah.
Sam, I feel like I might need to get a PS Plus subscription again.
maybe.
Yeah.
Whenever the time's right, Taylor,
Let's see.
So I've played through that. I will be going for the platinum. The only thing I need to do now is complete a playthrough on the hardest difficulty, which I'm fully upgraded and everything. I can New Game Plus that, so I don't think it will be too bad.
Well, unless there's a New Game Plus modifier that's stacked on top of your hardest difficulty modifier.
I don't believe so.
Well, then what's the point of New Game Plus?
Well, because there are new things you can unlock in New Game Plus.
Okay.
Some of the encounters, like necromorph placements, things like that, are slightly altered in New Game Plus, so you aren't having the exact same experience again. And there's like an alternate ending you can unlock as well, from what I hear. So yeah, really enjoying that, and just convenient, I suppose, that it was announced as a monthly game. I obviously have the physical copy, hence why I'm playing it now. But yeah, that's me. I've been playing a fair amount, which I usually do, I suppose. But yeah, lots of good games, man. There's so many good games. Everything's just too good.
And we
need bad games again.
We haven't even hit, the world of Nintendo yet. Echoes of Wisdom is out, rave reviews.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
We'll never get to all of it. How do you deal with that, Sam?
You just choose your battles, Taylor. You choose your battles.
No, I think I reject the statement that you can't get to all the games you want to play. I think if I really put them on a list and I turned it into a job, I would be able to do it. But then it would be feeling like a job.
Yeah. I also just think, like, I guess this is a wider conversation we can have at a different time, but it's just the idea that as the years have gone on and the generations have progressed, there's just less bad games.
Less bad games that are visible to me and you.
Sure. I mean, obviously there's all the shovelware stuff, and there's a few that break the mold, like the Kong game and Golem.
I'm going to make
a
retort to your argument, but I think it effectively means this. It comes up to the same result for both of us. There are more bad games than there ever were, but there are also way more good games than there ever have been.
Yeah. And I guess because of like games media and coverage and the internet, it's also far easier to separate the wheat from the chaff. Whereas back in the day, this is a hyperbole, but you were almost going into a store and picking up a game not knowing if it was going to be good or not.
Unless you had like Nintendo Power or something. Yeah, that's really after the NES kicked off. In the
religiously days, reading all the magazines and previews, which, let's be honest, not many of us were doing as kids. So I think that is something as well, where we're both right, where there's far more bad games and far more great games, but it's just everything is essentially a known quantity before you ever reach the point of purchase.
It's true. Discovery is a big issue, especially in the indie space.
So that's sort of why all of the good games, and whereas beforehand you were like, you knew about a couple of the good games because you'd seen adverts for them, or you'd read a preview in a magazine or whatever, word of mouth, and you would then go and buy those games by proxy. It's sort of a far more step-by-step process, whereas because of how open and accessible everything is now with the internet, you just hear about all of these games being good and you feel like you want to get to all of them, which is, I would say, like, relatively impossible, just at the click at which games are coming out nowadays and the general quality for most of them. So it is more about picking and choosing your battles now. It almost hasn't changed. Well, back in the day, you had to decide how and where you were going to spend your pocket money on what games. And now you have all the disposable income, or a lot of people do now that you're adults,
less time,
your own income. You have less time, and also you still have to be selective. You are just selective from a more visible, wider spectrum of titles. So Very interesting.
Yes.
Speaking of a spectrum of titles, Taylor, are we talking about the first story this week?
I assume it's not about a kaleidoscope with a spectrum of colors.
That's next week, I think.
All right. Let's call it a flower. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah.
All right, Sir Sam, take it away. There was what this week? There was a standard operating procedure. What's this called?
That's correct. A standard operating procedure.
SOP. A little sop.
A little soppy sop.
Whoa, I'm getting a little soppy over here.
Oh, I bet you are, Taylor.
Hold on.
Are you mopping up the sop?
Sam, I saw Megalopolis yesterday. I forgot to mention. It certainly is a movie.
That's the quote I've heard. It's a movie.
If you're a fan of Shia LaBeouf, you should see it. Or Aubrey Plaza. Other than that,
yeah, maybe one day.
Anyway,
certainly not in theaters. We had a state of play, a PlayStation state of play this past week, and what I'll do, I'll just run down all of the announcements, and then we can kind of like pick and choose things that stand out to us in the interest of time. I think that's probably the best procedure. So in order of things that were announced, kicking off the show, Astrobot is getting free DLC in fall 2024. That is right now, essentially, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow.
That means it's imminent.
How's the speedrunning
free
community
DLC?
This? 5 new speed. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, they're excited. They're excited for sure. The DLC consists of 5 new speedrun levels and 10 special bots to rescue. We don't know all of the bots, but we saw in the trailer there was this is, I guess, very mild spoilers, but if you've seen the trailer, Taylor, you know it's not ruining anything in the main game. 2 of the bots, at least, in this DLC is Eve from Stellar Blade and a Helldiver. So we'll see what the other 8 are. There could be more Helldivers. I think there might be another Helldiver, maybe.
Okay.
Because there's sort of a theme of that, where there's other things in the main game where there's multiple of the same type of thing. That's exciting. Cool. Again, I'll just burn through. Next up was the Midnight Walk, which is a PS5/PSVR2 claymation game from the creators behind Lost in Random. That's coming sometime in 2025. Then came Hell Is Us. No date on this one, from what I could tell, but it is an open world action adventure with melee combat. Focused on immersion, apparently. No heads up, no UI, no nothing. Just walk around and discover things. Then came Metro Awakening VR, which is releasing November 7th for PSVR 2. Then Arcade Chronicles coming in 2025. Seemed a bit of like an MMO fantasy RPG thing. Power World was shadow dropped on PlayStation 5 during the show, so that is available right now for you to go buy if you so wish. Then came Lunar Remastered Collection in spring of 2025, which consists of the Lunar Silver Star Story Complete and Lunar Eternal Blue Complete, for those nostalgic RPG fans from the original PlayStation. Then TMNT got Radical Reptiles DLC available now alongside a remixed OST. Sonic X Shadow announced that a Sonic 3 movie tie-in DLC is coming with Keanu Reeves voicing Shadow for the DLC, for those interested. Fantasian Neo Dimension is releasing December 5th. We've got an extensive Dragon Age the Veilguard trailer. Obviously, that's releasing in October. Then Alan Wake 2, the Lake House DLC, got a trailer, again confirming that it's, let's say, tying in the world of Control even further. And that is releasing sometime in October. No actual date, but it's coming out next month.
You're tying in the world of Control further.
Hitman World of Assassination is coming to PSVR 2 in December. Again, no date to there. The leaked Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver 1+2 Remastered Collection releasing December 10th. Fear the Spotlight, which is one of Blumhouse Games' PS1-inspired horror games, is releasing October 22nd. The previously announced Towers of Agaspa is getting its early access in November. A minor thing for Lego Fortnite, there's getting a split screen update if you're interested, and a special Fortnite DualSense was announced. Dynasty Warriors Origins is releasing January 17th. Monster Hunter Wilds got a trailer with an official release date revealed of February 28th next year. Lego Horizon Adventures is releasing November 14th. Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered was revealed, releasing October 31st with a $9.99 upgrade path available for all existing owners, including those who redeemed Zero Dawn via the Play at Home initiative, although PS Plus redemptions are not valid, which is more than I was expecting from PlayStation, to be honest, but we'll get into that. Next was Stellar Blade receiving a photo mode. The OST is now available on most music streaming platforms, and a Nier Automata collab is coming later this year to the game. The October monthly games for PlayStation Plus was announced, which consist of WWE 2K24, the Dead Space remake, as we said, and Doki Doki Literature Club Plus. Dino Crisis and Legacy of Kain Blood Omen are coming to PlayStation Plus Premium at some point this year. That wasn't suggested that it was next month's premium game, but we'll see. We also said Last of Us Part 1 available in the PlayStation Plus catalog right now. We then got the Chroma Collection DualSense and covers for the PS5. There's a nice little blue, pearl, and like green color selection there, if you so wish. Mark Cerny made a rare State of Play appearance to talk more about the PlayStation 5 Pro. And in a little sizzle reel, a couple of new games were announced to be PS5 Pro enhanced, which consisted of Jedi Survivor, Dragon Age the Veilguard, Dragon's Dogma 2, Stellar Blade, Metal Gear Delta, and a few others. And then the show closed with a big old first-party reveal. Who would have guessed? The sequel, to Ghost of Tsushima, set 300 years after the first game. The next game from Sucker Punch, releasing in 2025, is Ghost of Yotei.
Is it Yotei or Yotei?
I've heard both. In my head, it's Yotei, sorry, but I could be wrong. I don't know. Maybe it's a regional dialect thing that's making me think that. Yotei, I guess, sounds more Japanese, so that's probably correct. Yotei. Yotei sounds like how an American would say it. No offense. I think it's Yotei. We had this thing when Tsushima was first revealed. It was like, is it Tsushima? Is it Tsushima? Is it Tsushima? What is it? I feel like it's Yotei. That probably makes the most sense.
I was on mute the whole time. It was Yotei, just confirmed.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yes, and it features a brand new protagonist. Jin Sakai is, of course, long dead by the time that this game takes place.
Wait, you said 300 years before? No, it's
300
after.
years after. I mean, either way, he's not around.
Well, okay.
A female protagonist named Atsu. She can dual wield katanas. She will obviously have access to gunpowder in various forms. Dual
wielding. Woo!
Maybe she has a wolf companion by the looks of the trailer. So be excited. Taylor, we've just broken down everything that was announced. What stands out to you? I'm sure there are obvious ones, but
Ghost of Yotei, and I think Dragon Age Veilguard for me. Not because I don't know if I saw anything really special from Veilguard here in terms of what was revealed on the State of Play, but I'm really rooting for this to be BioWare's comeback.
Sure.
So, yeah, but outside of those, a lot of this wasn't really, I don't think, for me. It was nice to see I redeemed Horizon Zero Dawn at the Play at Home campaign. I'm glad to see the $10 upgrade is eligible there. Dead Space remake for PS Plus monthly games is great.
Yep.
Other than that, I think it seems like a lot of good games were here. It's, for me personally, it wasn't like an excellent show, but I thought it was a good show. But I would be lying if I said there wasn't a ton of content announced here. And of course, most of it being, third party. So yeah, I'm really interested to see what they do in. Well, I don't know. Maybe Sam. What about you?
I actually think it's probably one of their strongest state of plays. Again, state of plays traditionally don't feature a lot of first party content, and they certainly don't really contain any big first party reveals. So I think that instantly this is sort of with a nice, very soon thing from first party opening the show, and then a big bombshell closing. With some nice spatterings in the middle. I think this is one of the strongest ones they've had. Obviously not showcase level, but if you're expecting that from State of Play, you're delusional. Not you, Taylor, I just mean the collective. I obviously Astrobot, I can't wait. Just give me more of it. Give me a reason to play more of it. Yes, sign me up. Ghost of Yotei, all of those guys. That is no doubt. I can't wait. I think the expected outrage over that game is ridiculous. I think it looks excellent. I can't wait for it. Nice to see Alan Wake 2 Lake House DLC actually coming this year, because we were a little bit shaky about whether that would hit this year or not. They said it would back when they announced the 2 DLC packs, but cutting a little bit close to the wire in terms of when they were announcing it, but it's obviously coming very soon, so that's exciting. I am going to stand on a pedestal and say that I think, whilst I understand the conversation, Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered is probably the best looking remake or remaster that they've done thus far.
I think I'll buy it because it's on my list and it's $10. Sure.
Yeah. I mean, like for the visual upgrade, because I said even before this was officially announced and shown off, that the visual difference between Zero Dawn and Forbidden West is a much larger gap than I think people remember / think it is. So for them to bring it up to Forbidden West visual fidelity level, to update the mocap so that people aren't just standing there like robots talking and they actually emote and stuff. And then to get a couple of additional goodies in there. I don't know. I'm on board. It includes obviously the DLC as well, which is nice. It's cool. So yeah, I have no problems with Zero Dawn Remastered, I think. And also it just means they're just getting through more remasters. They're going to run out of things to remaster soon enough, so the sooner they get them out of the way, available for people, the better.
They might be running out of things to remaster, but not running out of things to port, like I mentioned earlier in the show with my PS3 pickups. Well, I guess they could remaster Infamous 1 and 2, but
it goes hand in hand.
Games is right.
It goes hand in hand. I think like they're running out of the blockbusters from the PS4 era, shall we say, like the big IP from PS4. They've kind of done most of them now, if not all of them.
Except for Bloodborne.
Sure. But will that ever happen? We don't know. So that could then mean that we enter an era where they do then look further back and at least bring a remastered trilogy collection of, like you say, Killzone and Resistance and some Infamous stuff. Bring that forward so that you can at least play them natively on PS5 in some capacity. That would be great. We'll see. And then obviously obviously very niche, but as a PSVR 2 owner, I think Metro Awakening looks excellent. I'm not a massive Metro guy, but good. it looks like a very high quality VR game. And I will say probably the biggest surprise is the Midnight Walk. I love that you can play it if you don't have PSVR 2. But to imagine playing that kind of like claymation game in VR, I think that looked very strong. So I look forward to playing that when that arrives. Yeah, I thought it was a really good showcase, state of play, honestly. And also, I think it does set a precedent because the last state of play we had in May ended on a bombshell closer from first party where Astrobot was announced, whatever you want to say. And then we have Astrobot now. This state of play ended with another first party reveal in Ghost of Yotei, Yotei. And I don't know. I feel, again, it's early days to say that there's a pattern that you can actively follow. But I think that devoid of the presence of a showcase and the idea that maybe state of plays is what they lean into more, maybe this is an indication that they will do state of plays every 3, 4, 5 months, whatever, every 5, 6 months, maybe a couple a year, and then have a stinger at the end of each of those state of plays consistently going forward of a new first party game, that you will by proxy also then only have to wait at most a year to play from initial reveal. We had to wait a handful of months to play Astrobot from when it was revealed. And with Ghost of Yotei being a 2025 game, realistically, I think that means that within the year, I wouldn't be surprised if it is. I could easily see it being the first half of 2025, honestly. And I would wager the only reason we don't have a more narrow window is because they are waiting to see when GTA 6 hits. I think once GTA 6 has a date, we are going to see a lot of 2025 stuff fall into place.
I'm still skeptical of GTA 6 releasing next year.
So am I. But I don't think most other publishers and developers are going to bite on guaranteeing locking in a 2025 date until GTA 6 moves first. So we'll see. I like that. I like the idea, as frustrating as it is to not have a roadmap, a long-term roadmap laid out that we can talk about and be excited about and look forward to. I think that there is something to, here is a state of play talking about the here and now, the things you're going to be playing over the next few months, and we have a stinger that is within the next 12 months max that you can look forward to. And if they keep doing that, so they have a state of play in March or April of next year, and they show off another new thing that is coming before the end of 2025, I don't know. I could be down for that. It will require a bit of a mental reset from us as consumers as to what we can expect in terms of announcements, but takes pressure off the developers. And it means we aren't so forward set in what we're looking at. We are more appreciating what we're getting now. I don't know. I think it could work for them, honestly, especially with the reduced competition. Like, they don't need to announce stuff so far out now, so they aren't going to. Why would you if you don't have to?
What, I guess Death Stranding is still next year. So you have Ghost, Death Stranding for I'm gonna say exclusives. Because I don't like this stupid second party stuff. Is it exclusive on your console or not? Yes or no question. If the answer is yes, I think it's all on the same playing field as far as the consumer is concerned, and that's the end of the discussion.
Yeah, ultimately, yeah.
So we get Ghost, Death Stranding, and
well, I mean, obviously it's not exclusive, but from technically a first party, Marathon is earmarked for next year. Whether that happens or not, TBD. I will say, I've said this before, I know, and other insiders have said this in several months past and have reiterated it recently. Sony has other stuff first party for next year. I know of one other thing that is guaranteed next year, like it's happening next year, that they haven't announced yet.
What's that, Sam?
And there is one other thing that I'm less confident on, but I know that as of at least 7 months ago, it was earmarked for next year. I think it will move likely, for 2026, but they were talking about 2025. So there is other stuff coming that we don't know about yet. And I think that, again, going to the idea of an early state of play next year to have another bombshell reveal, and then you're playing it within 6 to 8 months is pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Sam, what's this game?
Couldn't tell you. I'm sorry.
Wow. Is it a remaster, Sam?
No.
Is it a remake?
No.
So it's not Bloodborne. Okay. Is it a sequel to Bloodborne, Sam?
Oh, if only. You wish, you know?
So I guess the answer is no.
You wish.
What are the limits of what you can tell me, Sam?
Whilst we're recording, nothing.
Oh God. Okay. If people subscribe on Patreon, can they
No.
listen? Can they? Okay.
No. That neither.
I tried, listeners. Okay. All right. Yeah. I don't know if I have any good things to add, Sam, other than Lego Horizon should be funny.
As an avid fan of the Lego games, I'm on board. I think it looks like a very different kind of Lego game than all the other games. Far more linear is the wrong word, but I don't know. I'm still on board for it. I think it gets clowned on a bit by people, but we're talking about PlayStation are just generally talking about IP expansion, and they're doing all of these movie adaptations and TV shows and stuff. And Horizon was set to have a show, which explains, like The Last of Us, why they are doing this remaster. This has been in the works for a long time, and obviously the show was killed relatively recently on Netflix anyway. Horizon is a big seller for PlayStation, a very big underdog seller that not many people realize sells as well as it does. So yeah, they're going pretty hard on Horizon right now, at least optically. But
Sam, and I haven't played Horizon yet. And what's your main attraction to the franchise? Is it the world? Is it the Monster Hunter-esque thrill of detaining, capturing, defeating these robotic creatures? Is it the characters? Let's say in the scope of the first game, Horizon Zero Dawn.
I mean, the obvious answer is like robot dinosaurs. What more do you need to hear? You know,
Well,
it's like
what's the name of the prime robot dinosaur transformer robot? What's his name? Who's it? T-Rex?
You're asking things that I don't have answers to.
How could you forget his name, Sam?
All I know is the Megazord, and it's like you're asking for a very
Grimlock.
specific.
It's Grimlock, Sam.
Oh, silly me! How could I ever forget?
Oh, you're not a Transformers fan. That's a major issue.
I mean,
Major issue.
I am, but like
anyway, go on.
Not enough to know what the T-Rex transformer is called, Taylor.
Wait, can you mount Can you like ride these robot dinosaurs in any of the games?
I mean, you can ride specific ones, yeah.
Ooh. Oh yeah. Sam, what difficulty should I play it
them.
on? Should I play it on hard? Should I play it on normal?
No, yeah. Go normal, I think. Just middle of the road. There is an argument to be made for playing it on easy, because the combat is far more complex than I think people on the outside think it is.
I won't play it on easy out of principle.
Yeah, but I think normal is fine.
All right.
Yeah, like so the allure is certainly robot dinosaurs and fighting them, and just seeing them out in the wild and studying them and scanning them and targeting specific parts of them to break it off and get specific resources. And
does it not feel immoral, Sam, that you're hunting these creatures?
I mean, they're robots. They don't feel anything.
I assume this must be a big component of the story. I assume there's some argument over whether these creatures are sentient or not, Sam.
No, not really. The questions are more, why are there robot dinosaurs?
Don't worry about it.
There are these like caveman, prehistoric almost tribes of people that are relying on shackled together bows and arrows. It's like, well, why is that a thing alongside robot dinosaurs? What happened there? And then you peel back the layers and you're uncovering the mysteries. And
so is the first game a lot of the uncovering the mystery part, or is that more the second game?
Yeah. The first game is very much about, without revealing too much, Aloy kind of...
Hey, you know what? Just leave it there. Let's just leave it there. I'll figure it out for myself, Sam. I'll play it.
The first game is very much about discovery. The second game is very much about expansion. What that means, you'll figure out eventually once you get to
Wow, Sam. So now I need to add Horizon to my list of games I might be putting in rotation in the near future. Because now there's a remaster, Sam. There's the carrot that's dangling from the stick.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Horizon is great. Especially, I think the story in Forbidden West is like chef's kiss. They go some wild places. You think Robot Dinosaurs is crazy? Oh boy, you wait.
And the Burning Shores, right?
Yeah, the DLC for that was good. Far better than Frozen Wilds was for the first game. So
wow. Sam, I tried playing Witcher for some reason. Now I'm reminded of DLC expansions, and I think of Blood and Wine. That reminds me of Witcher 3. I tried to get into Witcher 3, Sam, but I think the combat's bad. That's my hot take. I don't think it's good combat.
I wouldn't disagree.
Isn't that right, Toph? Toph, say something. Toph, say something.
She's a Witcher 3 apologist.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, Sam.
Always not. A Whisker 3 apologist, maybe? I hate myself.
Anyway, Sam. Next. Ghost of Yotei is apparently the beginning of a franchise, right? Ghost of Yotei is the beginning of an official franchise that will include at least one movie and other spin-offs. The Ghost of franchise. Seem right. Chad Stahelski will direct the movie, and Herman Knowles believes that the developing IP across the formats drives customers to the games from the movie screen or the TV screen to your PlayStation 5 screen, which is also a television. You get what I'm saying? And right, reiterating that Ghost of Tsushima has sold 13 million copies. Right, this comes to us from New York Times and Twisted Voxel. I mean, yeah, once they said Yotei and it wasn't a direct sequel, I figured from there it's going to be a franchise, almost like how Kevin and Kyle love their Tales of games. Now we're going to have Ghost of games. Although I've seen, it's going to be a narrower scope than Tales of. Tales of can be really anything, but Ghost of, I think, is going to be, at least for the samurai, some sort. Dude, it would be so cool if they do a World War II somehow. World War II, Japanese. No, I guess that, the Shogun fell. What if they do a Ghost of game during the fall of the Shogun? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, Sam. Oh, yeah.
What, so you mean like essentially what this game is going to be?
I thought the fall of the Shogun was around 19th, in the middle of the 19th century.
Well,
or in the beginning of it.
I guess, yeah. Well, no, you're right. But I suppose what I was getting at, which is not really correct to your point, is that this is about the establishment of the shogunate, right? This is around the time that Hokkaido and everything began to form in the north of Japan. So you are going to be likely visiting big cities, and probably interacting with members of the shogunate. 1603, which is when this game is set, is seemingly a very contentious time of change.
Wikipedia, the Tokugawa shogunate is from 1603 to 1868. So there you're right, the rise of the show. So then, oh geez, yeah.
So I think, I don't know, like people are outraged that they're like, I don't want to play as a woman and all of that, which is stupid, and we're not going to give air to that. But people were like, oh, I'm sad that it's not another Jin Sakai game, which, like, I understand, but I would also argue, maybe this is like a hot take, but I do think Jin Sakai is probably the weakest part of Ghost of Tsushima.
I don't think he's. I'm actually surprised you said that, Sam. I never said this on the podcast, but I think the characters around Jin Sakai are more interesting than Jin.
Yeah, 100%.
Jin's is kind of people are gonna get really mad for this one. I feel like Jin Sakai is kind of this, like, I don't see really any evolution from him throughout, other than him saying, I feel bad for betraying my uncle's wishes, or my uncle's wishes to, not be a ghost or be stealthy, but this is what must be done to save my island, or to save my civilization. I don't know, civilization, to save my home, really, my home, right? Yeah. And it never really tapers from that,
which is fine.
Yeah, which is fine. I thought most of my enjoyment from Ghost came from the beauty of the world and the other characters, especially the mythic tales. Sorry, a little bit of a side tangent here. I like Ghost of Tsushima a lot. I don't think I love the game. The combat can get very samey for me after I've already done a dozen bases.
Interesting.
But that's my hot take, Sam.
Fair enough.
We're allowed to have you
will. Yeah, and I also think, like Sucker Punch said in the blog post about this game, Yotei, that they're a big fan of origin stories, which it makes sense given Infamous, back in the day. It was a lot of introducing different superpowered people. And I think Jin had his origin story, and it wrapped up in a way where you get it. And I think that making the franchise not Ghost of Tsushima, but Ghost, is a very smart decision, because it can turn it into just like an anthology franchise.
Yeah, and the anthology is what I had in mind. Yeah,
which allows the sort of in a similar way to, I guess, God of War, where they go to different pantheons to refresh things. Ghost can now be, within reason, like infinitely refreshable, because you can just go to new places with new characters, new time periods, and do new stuff. You aren't beholden, because again, all the criticisms of PlayStation is, they're just doing sequels, and it's more Ellie and Joel from The Last of Us, and it's more Kratos, and it's more Aloy. So, well, okay, now they're doing something different. They could have just done another Jin Sakai game, and we would have eaten it up, of course. But they're taking a swing. They're going for it. They're doing something different, and I think that it sets the franchise up for far more long-term success, both in terms of game form, but also multimedia. Like, imagine, I guess Shogun existing kind of makes this maybe a little bit more difficult, but imagine a Ghost of Tsushima television series where every season you're like True Detective almost, where you're just following a new story and new characters every single time. I don't know, that's compelling to me. I think it's interesting. And also in the blog post, I didn't write it in the news story, but they said that Yotei is about underdog vengeance is the quote they use to describe the story, whatever that means. And they also said, which I think is interesting, that players will have far more influence over the story in this game, which rings infamous bells in my head of like karma systems.
Oh yeah, it's also Sucker Punch.
Exactly.
Same developers as Infamous. Listeners didn't know. Yeah.
So not necessarily like a good and evil thing, but in the way that some of us pre Ghost of Tsushima launching might think that it factored in of, in this game, do you actually have to seriously choose and have consequential things happen, whether you go down the more Ronin samurai / ninja Gaiden,
And you see they flirted with that at the end of Ghost of Tsushima. That's all
exactly. So do they do it in both a narrative and a gameplay sense? I'm very interested to find out, but I think that the fact that, again, they are not revolutionizing, but heavily iterating and changing and pulling on the past in that sense, seemingly is an exciting thing. So very cool.
Yeah, it is. It is cool. Sam, you platinumed Ghost, I assume, so you took out all the bases, right?
I did, yes.
Did it ever get old for you?
Not really.
Did you go stealthy a lot, or did you go guns blazing? I'm saying, like, way after you beat the main story, you're pretty well upgraded.
Yeah.
Or it's just whatever you felt like. I'm curious.
I certainly leaned more into the stealth because I think that narratively you are, as the story progresses, more incentivized to do that, I guess. But to be fair, it has been a couple of years since I played it, but from what I remember, I do know that I went back and forth a lot. Like there were some bases where I would approach from a certain angle that had like maybe a very good vantage point, and I was like, okay, well, this one, because I'm in this kind of strategic position, I will approach more stealthily and sort of pinpoint targets and choose how I'm going to circle through this encampment. Whereas if there was an encampment that I almost more stumbled upon, I would be like, bugger it, I'll get off the horse and do a standoff. But so there was real no routine or pattern that I stuck to. It was more just sort of how I felt and also how I came upon each of the settlements. So, but you can imagine they'll iterate on that as well, just to some extent. They'll find probably different ways that you can approach the bases, or maybe design the bases in a way where there are some that you almost have to tackle via one route or the other, depending on the layout of the camp itself or the enemies that are inside it or the objective that you have to complete or whatever.
What about negotiating? If you could get it, you hold up the leader of the base,
maybe,
and you say, leave this base, or I don't know, I spare you all if you give me this coin, surrender and leave this base.
Maybe.
Or not.
Maybe you can bribe them and recruit them into some kind of mercenary army that you can then summon on command using up one of your little golden circle ball things to assist you if you're in a pickle somewhere else. Maybe, I don't know. Lots of potential. Moving on, if we haven't got anything else to say. Nice quick one to burn through. This is a very recent thing that happened in the past 24 hours at time of recording. Horizon Online is seemingly Guerrilla's next project. So in an appearance on the Spawn Wave podcast, insider Jason Schreier seemed to confirm that the multiplayer Horizon game will be the next project to release from Guerrilla Games, not Horizon 3. Quote, their plan, Horizon Online is their next product, not the third single-player game, looks like. So that one may be a ways off. Like PlayStation's live service initiative was no joke. So again, that sort of confirms that Horizon Online hasn't been cancelled alongside all the other live services that were cancelled, and that it is likely going to be the next thing we see from them. I don't know that this is a shock to anybody in the know. I always assumed for how long the multiplayer game has been in development in comparison to Horizon 3 that this was going to be the release order, but it seemed to break news, so worthy of covering that if you're expecting at a showcase or next thing to see from Guerrilla to be the combination finale of Horizon mainline, you're not going to get that for a while, it may seem. Yeah, I mean, the multiplayer, I think it holds promise. It depends on how much like Monster Hunter it is, because it is going to be like Monster Hunter, but it's just how much. If it's equally impenetrable, I will not be interested. But if it's an accessible version of Monster Hunter set in the Horizon world, I could be down for that. I think objectively, taking down robot dinosaurs with friends is a very cool and exciting prospect. It's just how they frame it.
Yeah. I'm skeptical.
They need to prove it, for sure.
I've not played an online live service game that I've personally enjoyed since before Helldivers 2. Smash Brothers, if you want to call that a live service game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know. For me, it might be a tough nut to crack. But right, I can see the monster. Right, take pointers from Monster Hunter. That cooperation. I mean, that's the thing for Horizon Online. What else is there besides making it a replication of Monster Hunter? Really?
Yeah, I mean, like obviously, it technically hasn't been officially announced, but they were recruiting for online people, and from the I can't remember if it wasn't the Insomniac hack because it was before that. Like leaked concept art, and I think a little bit of like very, very early alpha footage was shown off, and it is essentially Monster Hunter. But like you say, I don't really know what other direction they could go with that.
Right. So I guess that's my issue, right? Because the console home base for Monster Hunter is PlayStation. You're walking into a direct competition with a franchise that has established itself for the better part of a decade. Well, when did Monster Hunter World come out? Was it around 2018?
17, 18, around that point.
Yeah, it came out in 2018. So for the better part of more than half a decade. And then Monster Hunter Wilds is releasing next year. You've had this juggernaut of a monster hunting game that Sony would be directly competing with. I don't understand why they think they could make a meaningful dent in the live service genre with a Horizon Online game. I just don't understand how the player base doesn't heavily intersect Monster Hunter, and people would prefer Monster Hunter based on familiarity. Unless maybe Horizon does something different. Maybe there's some really integral story-driven quests that people want to complete together, like a Final Fantasy 14 type deal.
Yeah.
I guess it depends how much they build up the narrative. If it's just monster hunting or dinosaur hunting, they already have that on the console, and I feel like they can't win that battle. So I don't really know what the motivation would be for making Horizon Online a significantly successful game.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully they, like you say, they just have some kind of unique, very captivating hook that does, at least in some capacity, differentiates itself from Monster Hunter. Because if it is just a clone, then they could be in trouble. I think, as with anything, the fact that it has the Horizon IP attached to it, even if it was just a clone, would maybe entice other people that aren't interested in playing or haven't been interested in playing Monster Hunter into playing a game like Monster Hunter, just because it's got a recognizable first-party IP attached to it. But again, I feel like that audience would still be relatively limited. So we'll see. The fact that it hasn't been cancelled, like it hasn't been announced officially, and it hasn't been cancelled, which is more than most of the live service games, can say. So I imagine they must have something to it, you know, that is making them want to follow through. But time will tell.
Right. And let's see. I want to grab this, or sorry, I'll grab this next one, I guess, right? So for Death Stranding, there are now several Death Stranding projects in progress, in addition to new Death Stranding 2 details. So several adaptations of Death Stranding are in production, one of which is being the live-action movie that was announced last December. And Kojima said, my other project, was it Fizzent? No, Phison?
I guess that's a
Fizzent, like physics?
I think yeah.
Is like the getaway into the third phase of the studio evolution. I'm trying to make it with people in filmmaking industries outside of games. So we may do a movie adaptation at the same time. We will see. The assets are digital and can be used either way. And as part of the Death Stranding 2 special presentation at Tokyo Game Show, new details have emerged about Death Stranding 2. Shioli Kitsuna's character is named Rainey, and Ellie Fanning. It's Ellie or Elle?
Elle, I think.
Elle Fanning plays Tomorrow. Sorry, the character's name is Tomorrow, and we'll see Dolman and Tarman's Tarman names revealed. Sorry, Sam. When we say Dolman and Tarman, what are we really talking about?
Well, the two characters that have been in previous Death Stranding 2 trailers.
Death Stranding 1, right? Okay.
No, in Death Stranding 2.
Okay.
They were in the trailers, but we didn't know what they were called or who voice acted them or anything.
So their names in the game are Dolman and Tarman?
Indeed.
Yeah. In addition to a handful of cutscenes, we also saw a demonstration of a special in-game photo event where Kojima suggests you should take good pictures as there are implied story consequences. Though exactly what this means remains to be seen. I've never seen a game drive a fork in the road for story progression based on the type of picture you're taking. This is interesting. Kojima also confirmed that the game is definitely arriving in 2025, but in terms of the specific release date, he said, due to some unforeseen circumstances, we cannot announce it today. This comes to us from Forbes and CBR. Yeah, it's going to be this. Well, people might say this is part of the wider trend with games leaking into TV and movies. I think Kojima always had this in mind since the start of his career, to be honest, it would seem. So I'm not terribly surprised, but it'll be very interesting to see how they interweave the films and the games.
Yeah.
Their stories intertwined. Also, again, this photo mode thing is very interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean, you should definitely look it up when you have the time. Like seeing the footage of the photo mode, like it's not just the photo mode. There is an in-game event that has you taking photos, and like he says, there seem to be story ramifications to some extent. The photo mode looks insane. I mean, just the game itself from the trailers that they showed at Tokyo Game Show, which was actually last night. For me anyway, time of recording, so very fresh. The game looks just stunning, truly gorgeous, and the photo mode is like ridiculous. It almost just looks like real life photos of people. That's the stage we're getting to. Yeah, it's just Kojima, right? Like, of course, why wouldn't a photo mode have story implications? Of course they would. I mean, that sounds like one of the most Kojima things to ever Kojima. And yeah, they're like saved as Polaroids that are actually viewable in game in your hub ship thing. I wonder what all of the adaptations are, because obviously there's the live action film that was announced, but like several adaptations. Does that mean there's also is there a show, like a spin-off show?
ARG.
Is there like an anime maybe? And also I guess technically adaptations could span into things like novels or comic books or things like that.
Written media.
Yeah, exactly. They don't have to be sort of visual medium stuff. Well,
I guess comics are also visual, but I get what you're saying.
You know what I mean. Yeah, no, it could be cool. I too think that Death Stranding is ripe for adaptation. For anybody who's played and knows the narrative, as crazy as it is, I think the potential there is very strong. And then him saying like Fizzant, whenever that game comes out, Christ, I mean, it'll be PlayStation 6 game for sure. There's no way that hits this generation with everything else that Kojima is doing. The idea of essentially, by what he's saying, releasing a movie version at the same time is weird. You know, that's like unprecedented, where you release a new IP and collaborating with Sony Pictures to release a film of the game at the same time, so people see the film in theaters and then realize that a game version of the film, or a game set around the ideas and universe of the film, and vice versa, that's again very Kojima. But I think that could work. That could be, in an ideal world, the ultimate evolution of the kind of stuff that Sony is trying to do right now, where it's cross media and maximizing IP across lots of different formats. Having that kind of synergy IP wise, where it's not like a film being made about a game that came out several years ago, or, you know, a game being made set in a film's universe, like a RoboCop or a Terminator or whatever, or Lord of the Rings, or Star Wars, like a concurrent release. I don't know how I don't know how that would go, but I'd be really interested to find out.
We'll see.
Maybe Kojima can pull it off.
Yep.
We can just rattle off this one, but I included it because there is a little bit interesting, I suppose. Sony put out a corporate report for this year. So as of there, plenty of information you can find. You can Google it if you want, from Sony's official website. But as of June 2024, they confirmed that there are 61.8 million PS5 sold, not distributed, but sold, and 116 million PlayStation Network monthly active users, which are very strong figures, I would say. And a few key things I picked out, not necessarily anything groundbreaking, but interesting for where their heads are at. Strategic key points for the segment as a whole is, quote, new IP centered on diversifying genres and attracting new audiences, and, quote, evolving IP and franchises to inspire and engage players on new fronts, which again, like I say, reiterates the idea of cross-media, cross-format stuff, evolving IP, doing live service versions, Horizon multiplayer, etc., but also new IP in different genres. So you could technically throw in Astrobot and Concord into that, like a first-person shooter, multiplayer, and a platformer. But this is June, so you can imagine that probably extending beyond that as well, which is exciting. And then investment areas for Sony from fiscal year 2023 forward, the games and network services segment, quote, invests in M&A, merger and acquisition, and strategic partnerships, mainly with game title developers, as well as in R&D to strengthen content IP. So that, again, as we've seen this year, and we'll likely see continuing onwards, them doing strategic partnerships with second and third party for exclusivity, but also merger and acquisitions. They specifically say M&A, so they aren't done acquiring, which I might have assumed they were, given some of the road bumps that they've hit as of late, with Firewalk and Bungie and the live service push in general. But maybe that might suggest that they are still looking to acquire things, but maybe in a more traditional sense that are more single player narrative, AAA focused. I don't know. I've said it plenty of times, Taylor, but especially with the amount of like cross media stuff they're doing, television and film, they're interested, they're pursuing that more and more. Remedy is a prime target. They are
Sam.
They are already going for that stuff. They have the deal with Annapurna to make TV and film shows about Alan Wake and Control. And Remedy's games as of late are only fitting more and more into Sony's wheelhouse of very high fidelity third-person action adventure games. Just saying. I'm not cheering on acquisitions, but if they are looking to do one that fits their current strategy,
Cheering it on.
Remedy. I'll keep saying it.
You're cheering it on.
I'm not, but I also kind of am. Like, if they're going to acquire someone, I would want it to be Remedy, if it's not From Software, obviously. Yeah, but that's a little bit of corporate report. It's worthy pointing out as to what the strategy may be and what we see from them going forward in months and years to come.
To round out the show, where The Last of Us Season 2 trailer debuted on The Last of Us Day, we have our first look at Abby, Jesse, Isaac, Dina, and various in-game scenarios that are brought to the big screen, or I should say, to your TV screen, but you also play your video game there, that are brought to the TV show, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Released in 2025 on Max. I don't think we have a release date.
No. Season 1 came out in January.
So I doubt Season 2 is in January.
I doubt it, yeah. I feel like if they were that close, they probably would have said. But I don't know. Have you seen the trailer?
No.
Damn.
Watch it right now, Sam, while you're talking about it.
As strong as the first season was, I think Season 2 looks just superb already.
O'Hara.
To be fair, yeah, Catherine O'Hara is in it. Yeah. I obviously, not that I have to prefix this, but I will say that this is obviously coming from someone who really, 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 really loves The Last of Us Part 2 and has no problems with the story. People were like, oh, maybe they're going to change things and, react to the feedback and the criticisms. I'm like, no. Naughty Dog told the story they wanted to tell. And you don't have to like it. That's fine. But that they're not going to bend for people criticizing them online for the story or hating on them or whatever. There'll be minor deviations and expansions, of course, like they did in the first season, expanding on side characters. But yeah, it looks great. I think everything about it looks as promising as the first season did. Very nice to drop it as a surprise on Last of Us Day, because typically we don't really get many actual big announcements on Last of Us Day. I think we might have gotten a trailer for Season 1, actually. Now I say that, back before that came out. And obviously Last of Us Part 1 is in PlayStation Plus Premium, or PlayStation Plus, which was another Last of Us Day celebration thing. Came out on the 26th. Yeah, I can't wait. I really can't wait to see how they tackle it and what exactly they do rope into this second season, because they did say they are likely going to split Part 2 between Season 2 and Season 3. So what makes it into this season? Where is the cutoff point? I don't know, but I'm excited to find out.
Just watched it, Sam.
Yeah.
Pretty good trailer. In terms of where the latest story event that I could see from the trailer looks like it involved, without spoiling this, fire. I think that occurs around 2/3 of the way through the story of the game, from what I remember and how it was paced. Well, I guess that fire could be from anything, really, if it's the same fire I'm thinking of.
I know what fire you're thinking of. I don't think it's that fire, but like you certainly have, again, without going the crazy spoilers, you have like Dina and Ellie in the city that they go to. I can't remember which city it is. where she's playing guitar for Dina.
Mm-hmm.
And you see Isaac, but that the amount that they could be jumping around story-wise to set up different characters and different plot lines early on, that doesn't necessarily mean, because Isaac gets introduced to the game not super late, but late. So I don't know. I think it's hard to distinguish really exactly what time span of the game they're going to cover, because they could be jumping back and forth a lot more than they did in the game to fit it better for television and an episodic way of telling the story. I'm not sure.
I could see them ending season 1 at, well, I don't know if it would be too far gone. I'll say ending it at the ranch. I'll leave it there.
Yeah, I think that might be a bit too far. I mean, like, you can naturally say that the cutoff point would or could be the theater, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like leaving it at the theater means that, again, without spoilers, season 3 would by proxy, in a large part, if not all of it, be Abby's story. And I don't know how well season 2 works in an episodic format if you don't have at least a decent chunk of Abby's story laid out ahead of time. But again, I don't know what the gap of time will be between when we get season 2 and when we get season 3, because if we're waiting multiple years to get season 3 and it ends at the theater, that might be rough for audiences to have to wait that long on that kind of cliffhanger and then dive into Abby's story. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'm sure they'll figure it out. They know what they're doing. Have you seen The Last of Us season 1?
I thought it was good. The Last of Us season 1 was, I thought it was very good. Although they rushed the last episode, changed my mind.
They sure did. I agree there.
Anyway, stop being all negative, Sam. It was a very good adaptation to TV.
Mm-hmm.
Still not Chernobyl though. Am I right?
What is?
So true. I need to rewatch Chernobyl.
Yeah.
We have one question from Kyle before we close out the show. Kyle said, it seems that the PS5 Pro was available for quite a while. Do you think the supply was just that much or the demand was not that high? I guess both can be true. I don't think demand... Well, it says was available for quite a while. So that means, right, was it considered sold out in most marketplaces right now at the time of recording, Sam?
I still think in patchy ways you can still get it.
Let's see. Let's check PS Direct right now.
And like, obviously there are, external retailers and stuff. And it varies by region from what I can tell as well as to whether it's available or not. No way of us knowing for sure, obviously. I would still say the demand right now off the bat is still quite high. So I would lean more on the fact that they just have a very big supply of the base PS5 Pro. I could be wrong. But I
can add to cart.
Yeah, so maybe it is that the demand isn't crazy high. I mean, that wouldn't be surprising.
This says early pre-order access. Yeah, because it hasn't released yet. Yeah, I can still pre-order right now. Limit of one console per customer.
I mean, it wouldn't be surprising considering the price point, but I would still say that it's probably in shorter supply than it is in major supply. Because that's just how these things work. Whether the demand is crazy or not, these things traditionally sell out relatively quickly.
Right.
But
yeah, so
I don't know.
The pre-orders for the 30th anniversary are still unavailable because I think those don't go
No, they're already sold out. Those were gone in a couple of minutes.
Yep, surprise.
So no chance. I managed to get the 30th controller.
Oh, you did. There you go.
Yeah, and Bree got the Portal. But yeah, I did consider going for the Pro, the bundle, the limited edition one. And I could have got it because I did queue up ahead of time just to get the controller at the very least. I did have access, but I decided against it because I don't need it. I don't need it. My heart wanted it.
Right. Yeah, the controller is still unavailable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think everything is sold out from the limited 30th anniversary stuff. So
And the Astrobot controller is still unavailable.
Yeah.
What about the Concord controller? Concord controller is not available either.
Yeah, it probably. I mean, obviously, it was for quite a long time. I imagine since the game got taken offline, that's sort of become even more of a collector's item.
Actually, yeah, it probably will be.
Yeah, in the same way that I'm never going to get rid of my physical copy of Concord because you can't buy that anymore.
But you can't play it either.
Well, no, but what I mean is, if you were a collector and you wanted to have like a complete PS5 collection,
oh my god, yes, true, Sam.
You can't, apart from secondhand through secondhand stuff, you can't get a physical copy of Concord anymore.
Right.
So,
what tough?
You're saying it's time to end the show.
All right. Well, it's lengthy, good show. Thank you all so much for listening to this episode of No Limits. You can find us on YouTube at Save the Game Media. Discord links are all in the show notes. Patreon, Extra Life, like I said at the beginning of the show. All the links are all in the show notes. Where can people find you, Sam?
Anywhere and everywhere at Sam Heaney, Heaney.
All right. You can find me at Mr. Carter9 on PSN. That's MrCarternine. And the Discord. Thank you, everyone. Until next time. Bye-bye.
Peace.